Hello students. So in the last class we have studied about how we can classify the organisms, how we can identify the organisms. Now in your books you are going to encounter two terms. One is taxon. What is a taxon? It is a group of organisms occupying a taxonomic rank. And category, it is the name given to various taxonomic ranks. So taxon, when we talk about, it refers to a living entity, a living organism. Okay, and when we talk about category, category refers to the rank, the level at which we are classifying an organism. For example, mammalia. Mammalia refers to group of organisms which are able to give birth to young ones. So it is referring to group of living organisms. Okay. Now mammalia is which level of taxonomical hierarchy? It is a class. So class is a category. Mammalia is a taxon. It will become more clear with some more examples. Look at this picture. Here we are having a human. Okay. So human is Homo sapiens. Homo sapiens is a species. What is a species? Species is a group of living organisms which share the same general physical characteristics, can mate with others of the same type to produce viable fertile offspring. Okay, so species should have same general characteristics. Okay, and they should be able to interbreed with each other, then we call it species. Okay, now if we see, there are Homo sapiens is one species. Like that, in humans we had other species, they have become extinct. The only living species is Homo sapiens. We were having species like Homo habilis, Homo erectus, okay, Homo rudolfensis, like that. There are different species. So all these different species, what they were having similarities, that they were all able to walk on two legs. They were having a greater brain size. They were able to analyze things. Okay, they were having human like appearance. So these all species belong to the genera Homo. Okay, so Homo here is a taxon, belongs to the category genus. Okay, understood the difference between taxon and category? Taxon here is the Homo, which refers to the organisms having the same characteristics like humans. Okay, and it belongs to which category? Genus. The rank of taxonomical hierarchy is genus. Okay, now if we see other apes, okay, apes are also bipedal. They can walk erect on their two legs. Okay, so they are also having certain characteristics with the humans. They are also intelligent, more than intelligent than other animals, so they are related. Okay, this means these two genera of the apes and the humans can be combined to form the family Hominidae. Hominidae belongs to all those organisms which can walk on two legs, which are having a more brain size than the other organisms, that is Hominidae. Okay, so again Hominidae is a taxon which belongs to the category family. Okay, now if we see, The hominidae and all other monkeys, apart from these greater apes, all other monkeys are also having they are having opposable thumbs and the toes. Humans do not have the opposable toes, that is lost during the period of evolution, but all of them are having opposable thumbs and the toes. All of them are having prehensile tail. Humans were having prehensile tail. We are having a vestigial organ, the coccyx, which gives us the proof that we were also having a tail. Okay, but which got lost during the period of evolution. Okay, so all these organisms are coming under the order Primata. Again, Primata is a taxon which belongs to the category order. Okay, now these primates, they are able to reproduce and they give birth to young ones. Not only these primates, but other organisms are also able to give birth to young ones. So all the organisms which are able to give birth to young ones are put under the class Mammalia. So Mammalia here is a taxon, belongs to the category class. Okay, these Mammalia, they are having, all of these mammals, they are having vertebral column which is similar to that of apes, which is similar to that of reptilia, amphibia and pisces. So all of them are put under the same category of vertebrata. So what is vertebrata? Vertebrata is a taxon which belongs to the category of subphylum. Okay, so this is how the names that we are giving at every category to a group of organisms is a taxon. Okay, and category denotes the rank of the taxonomical hierarchy. Okay, another term that you are going to encounter in your book is systematics. What is systematics? Systematics is also classification of organisms, but with phylogeny. Now, what is phylogeny? Phylogeny means evolutionary relationship. Okay, so in this we are classifying the organisms, but we are also taking into account their evolutionary relationship, that is known as systematics. So systematics is in short taxonomy plus phylogeny is systematics. Okay, so what is species? What we have learned, species is a group of organisms which have the same general characteristics and they are able to interbreed with each other. They are known as species. Genus, group of related species, is known as genus, having the same general characteristics. Family, group of related genera having the same characteristics, is known as family. Order, group of same families having the same general characteristic is order. So what I am doing, I am giving the same definition, just replacing what, the family with the order, genus, and like that. I'm just changing the terms, but everything is same. They are the group, related groups having the same characteristics. Class, what I will say, group of related orders having the same general characteristics is class. Phylum or division, group of related classes having the same general characteristics are phylum or division. Kingdom, group of related phylums or divisions having the same general characteristics come under kingdom. So species is having the most specific characteristics, kingdom is having the most general characteristics. Okay, for example, in case of animals we say they are heterotrophic, so that is a very general characteristic. Among heterotrophic mode of nutrition, you are having certain subdivisions. Some of them are scavengers, some of them are carnivores, some of them are herbivores, so it depends. Okay, taxonomical aids. What are taxonomical aids? Taxonomical aids are tools which help us in classifying organisms. Okay, we need some kind of reference. So what are the references that are available to us? One is herbarium. Herbarium in which we preserve the plant species, dried plant species. Okay, botanical garden are the areas where we are having the living plant species, we can study them. Zoological parks where we are having the living organisms, living animals, we can study their behavior, their characteristics. Museum where we are having the fossils or the dead extinct organisms, there we can study them, we can make an evolutionary relationship between the extinct and the present organisms. Keys is a group of statements which are contrasting statements which help us to reach that particular description of an organism. Based on the description of an organism, they help us to reach a particular order, class, or taxonomical hierarchy. Flora, manual, monograph are some other taxonomical aids, so we are going to study them in detail. Herbarium. So herbarium is basically the dried preserved specimens of plants. Okay, this is a herbarium sheet. As you can see, this plant has been preserved. This is the flower, this is the almost open bud of the flower, these are the leaves. So you can look at the flower and you can find out, okay, this is how the leaves look like, this is how the flower looks like. Okay, and then we are having some other details in the form of labels, like here is the genus, family, common name of the flower, where it has been found, who has collected, when it has been collected, what is the scientific name if it is available. So all this information is there in the herbarium sheet. How will we prepare an herbarium? First, we have to identify a plant that we want to collect. Okay, so we are having an area, we went to some area and we are going to see, we see that a plant is quite different and we think that it should be preserved for future use. So we are going to, what first we are going to do is we are going to photograph the surroundings of the plant, so we get an idea. Okay, later on we can refer to that photograph and see, okay, it was growing in this kind of soil, it was, the weather was something like this, it gives us a future reference. Okay, then we should take care when we are collecting the plant that plant should not be wet. Means you should not collect the plant immediately after the rains, because plants are wet, it will take too much of time to dry, they might also get the fungal infection which will spoil your specimen. Okay, so always try to collect the dry specimen. Then apart from taking the photograph, also note down certain other characteristics of the plant, like what is the total height of the plant, width of the plant, what color is the flower of the plant, like all these other characteristics which are you can observe, you will just write them down. Okay, again for future reference. Then we will take, if the plant is very big, see, our motive of making a herbarium is to preserve the plant specimen for studies purpose. okay, not to destroy the biodiversity of an area. So if you're having a very big plant, you can just take one stem of that plant. Make sure you take from a height where there are lots of flowers, so you can take one twig with a flower. If you are having very small plants and lots of them are growing in that area, then using a trowel you can dug up the roots also, so that will also help us to study. But if you are having like a single plant growing in that area, please don't try to dug out that plant. That will be like you are destroying the biodiversity of that area. Okay, once you have taken that plant, you can either keep it in a jar or in a poly bag and transfer it to your place where you want to preserve it. Okay, then you can take the folds of the newspaper, put the plant, spread the leaves and the flowers properly and put a heavy weight over it. Okay, so that it dries. It will take, depending on plant to plant, it will take various days, so you have to keep it for a time. Keep on checking in between that no fungal infection has set. Do not keep in an area where there is very high humidity. It will result into the fungal infection. Keep on airing it. If you are having a dry weather spell, if you're having sunny days, you can keep it in the sun for few hours also, but make sure it doesn't get wet. After that, apply an adhesive. Okay, some people prefer applying tape on the plant specimen. You can apply a sellotape or you can apply an adhesive, and then just put it on the sheet. Spread it nicely so all the leaves are visible properly, or the flower petals and everything are visible properly. Okay, press it, and then after that you will put the label. So if you want to preserve a plant specimen, herbarium sheets are available on Amazon. Even the labels are available. You can just take those sheets, these are big sheets, and you can preserve the plant specimens. So herbarium tells us, let's suppose due to some kind of changes or every year some of the species they get extinct, they evolve or something, it helps us to study what kind of species were present. Okay, so we can get to study them. For example, in Botany department of Guwahati University, they are having a very big herbarium in which the herbarium sheets are present since before independence also. So you can study various species of rice that were present before independence, and you can compare them with the present species of rice. So this way you can make a evolutionary relationship, how changes in weather patterns has affected the plants, how technological developments have affected the plants, or the biotechnological developments have resulted into hybrids in the rice species. Okay. Botanical garden. Botanical gardens are the gardens where we are again preserving the plant species, but rather than in the dead form, in the pressed form, we preserve them in the living way. For example, this one. This is a MS Swaminathan Botanical Garden in Kerala, which is mainly for the purpose of preserving or conserving rare, endemic, or threatened plant species of Western Ghats. Endemic means they are found in that particular area only, and any kind of human interference will result into the extinction of those plants. So this botanical garden is responsible for conserving those species. Another benefit that we get in the botanical gardens is that it helps us to study. The plants are labeled in them. Okay, we are having the labeled plants. Okay, so we can study the species, we can study the behavior of the plants and different weather patterns. We can study how certain things affects the growth of the plant. It helps us to classify the plants in a much better way. Okay, now herbarium, if we see it, is a storehouse of knowledge for future use, because we are having the preserved plant specimens. It is a collection of mounted or preserved plant specimens for taxonomical use. Botanical garden is a collection center for living plant specimens for taxonomical use. It is ex situ conservation of endangered flora. So what is the main difference between herbarium and botanical garden? Herbarium is a storehouse or a center where we preserve the dead species of the plant, or the plant specimens are preserved in the dead form. Botanical garden is conservation of living specimens. So herbarium will tell us how the leaf looks like, how the flower looks like. It will give us more details, but we cannot study the behavior of the plant specimens. Okay, while in case of botanical garden, we can study, not only see the plant specimen, we can study the behavior of the plant specimen, we can grow future plant specimens. So it helps in ex situ conservation. What is ex situ? Ex situ means outside the natural habitat. Okay, for example, MS Swaminathan botanical garden that I showed you. So in that they are conserving the or preserving the plants which are growing in Western Ghats. So that they have taken down the plants from there and they are preserving in that botanical garden. So that is ex situ conservation. Okay. Next taxonomical aid, museums. Like this is the picture of a human hall of human origins. Okay, in American Museum of Natural History. So if you look here, you are having various preserved specimens of humans, how they were present earlier. You are having the fossils also, you are having the skeletal structure, which helps researchers study how were the fossils, how they are different from today, what were the things there, what were the things now. It helps us to form an evolutionary relationship. So museums are also taxonomical aids, not only of animals, they contain the preserved or the fossils of the plant specimens also, they contain the animal specimens also, they contain the fossils, skeletals, stuffed animals also, and helps us to study all of these things in one place. Zoological parks, in short zoo. Okay, so zoological parks are also the places where animals behavior can be studied. Now again, there is a difference between the museum and the zoological park. Museum is not having a living specimen, they are all having the extinct specimen. So in a museum you will find like dodo, which is an extinct bird, you will find it over there. You will find like I have shown you that hall of human origin. So extinct fossils of the human species which have gone extinct are present there. You will find the skeleton of a dinosaur over there. So all the dead organisms which you cannot study now, you will find over there. In zoological park, you will find those animals which you can study, which are living yet. Okay, again it is ex situ conservation of animals. So they are taken from their original habitats. Like suppose there is an animal which is in the danger of extinction, and one or two species are present now, so they are brought over to the zoological parks where they are uh, uh, they undergo the breeding programs, and once they are having like they are breeding properly, then they are released again into the wild. So these zoological parks also allows researchers to study the behavior of different organisms. So museum, collection of preserved plants and animals for study and reference. It also contains fossils to study evolutionary history. Zoological park is conservation of wild animals in protected environments, enables us to learn about food habits and behaviors. So these are some of the taxonomical aids that I have taken up today. Rest we will study in the next class. Thank you everyone. Have a nice day.